This is the WERENADO build, and all you need is your Tempest Roar and your right click. You will be able to crit Armor 4 with ease and surprisingly push all the way to peak 100 with this build. I will walk you through the core pillars of the build in a simple way so you can copy it and jump in freely. In this video you will see the gear, skill tree, Paragon, spirit boons, HORADRIC powers, gems and boons. Ready to take your builds to the next level? Let's jump into the video. Alright my fellow Druids, today I'm bringing you the overpowered WERENADO build for all you strong skill lovers. This one actually surprised me quite a bit, not gonna lie. I didn't have much faith in could even clear a peak 95, but it handled it with plenty of time left. I said it could probably push peak 100 or 102, which isn't bad at all considering how this build is looking lately. Let's start with the basics and most important things to make sure this build works properly. First, we will use Tempest Roar, which makes our storm skills also count as werewolf skills. This increases their bonuses massively. For example, page like Last of Carnage and Thunderstruck help with this build, plus passive like Toxic Claws and the key passive Perfect Storm. Second is what's pretty much a must-use ultimate this season, Grizzly Rage. With the Direwolf aspect, our ultimate transforms us into a Direwolf. So while it's active, we will be able to use skills like Tornado, Cyclone Armor and Bloodhowl, which I will show you later. We will also use the Rabbitbeard aspect, which converts our damage into poison, giving us another solid damage multiplier. To consistently trigger those orange OP crit hits, we will use the Shan Rune. Let me clarify, those orange numbers you're seeing on the screen aren't just overpower, they are a combo of yellow crit damage plus blue overpower damage. So we will also focus on scaling overpower damage with the Dominate Glyph. That's how we get those massive orange hits. The gameplay loop is simple. Alternate between Maul and Tornado to stack Quick Shift up to 6 times. Then pop Grizzly Rage and go all in. Use your defensive skills and Cyclone Armor to pull mobs in. The closer they are, the more effective your tornadoes become. Gear is pretty straightforward. You can absolutely play this build without any mythics, and it will include a version in the planner like that. Of course, if you have mythics, even better. But you will still enjoy the build just fine without them. We start with Tempest Roar, the core item of this build. It turns your storm skills into werewolf skills. Boost Wild Impulses ranks, that will massively increase the damage of your core skills, Tornado in this case. For the chest, go with Shroud of False Death. Not much to explain here. Go for all stats. If you don't have Shroud, go with Mad Wolf Glee. For gloves, stack willpower, attack speed and ranks to Tornado. Follow the tempering from the planner, not mine rolled badly. We are using the Storm Chaser aspect here to make tornadoes track enemies and deal 50% more damage. We will use Tibalt's Will, gives 20% increased damage while unstoppable, which pairs perfectly with Grizzly Rage, stack damage reduction here. For boots, look for Willpower, Movement Speed and Armor. Boost Willpower and again, follow the planner tempering. For main weapon, go with Dagger, 50% more damage to close enemies and faster attack speed. Make sure the chance to cast Tornado twice is maxed out. We will use Retaliation aspect here. For the totem, Willpower, Max Life and Crit chance, very important to land constant crits. Same tempering as the Dagger. For the amulet, stack Willpower, Envenom and the passive Toxic Claws. Boost Toxic Claws here. Use the Rabbitbeard aspect here, and Starless Sky is your best option. Gives 50% more damage and resource cost reduction. For the other ring, go for Willpower, Attack Speed and Crit chance, with Rampaging Werebeast aspect. Let me walk you through the most important part of the skill tree. Start with Maul to alternate with Tornado and build up Quick Shift stacks. Use Raging Tornado to keep enemies vulnerable at all times. This way, we don't need rings with vulnerable chance or sapping cracks. Wild Impulses passive is key. Core skills deal way more damage. Go for Preserving Cyclone Armor to pull enemies in and keep them close, so tornadoes hit more consistently and glyphs like Fang and Claw do more. Use Preserving Bloodhowl for that sweet 50% more attack speed boost. Wolves are helpful to tank a bit and also charge up Shan Rune faster, super useful. Toxic Claws is your main passive here, doubles poison damage while using werewolf skills. If you have this one on your amulet, it's a huge boost. As always, dump 5 points into Grizzly Rage and go with Perfect Storm as the key passive. Give Spirit Regen and 80% more damage to vulnerable enemies. Start with Head Counter Glyph, more willpower and extra elite damage. Second board is Last of Carnage, 50% more crit damage and 2 Spirit Regen. Glyph here is Fang and Claw. This build plays super close range, so get 12% more damage to close enemies. Perfect synergy. Third board is Thunderstruck, 60% more damage with Storm skills to close enemies. Glyph here is Keeper. Give 50% non-physical damage. And remember, we are using Rabbit Beard aspect for poison conversion. Fourth board is Hained Malice, more damage to poison enemies. Glyph here is a Spirit, boost crit damage and give 50% more damage when critting. The last board is Ancestral Guidance. Perfect Six will be constantly spending Spirit with Tornado. Glyph here is Dominate, big boost to overpower damage. Our Spirit boons will be Awareness, Damage Reduction, Side Talons, plus 50% crit chance and lag hit, Avian Grad, plus 40% crit damage, Bolster, more survivability, and Masochistic, insanely strong, here since we are always critting with Tornado. You will constantly heal yourself. Here, you can experiment with what fits you best. Feel free to mix it up. I use Disintegrate with Nebulous Extract Infusion for 10% less damage taken. My Arcanas were Bloody Charm, executes enemies under 20% HP and doubles on normals. Invigorate Elix, more resistance, and Fractured Core removes enemies' auras. Gems are mostly the same for every build. For this build, we are going with Seal of Daniel, more Fortify Uptime and Barrier, Idol from Below, plus 6% life and core stats, Scornful Light, plus 20% elemental damage, but take 10 more. Runes are super important if you plan to push the pit. First combo, Ahu Shan. Shan guarantees our OP crit hits, the huge orange numbers. Other pair is Ignicax. Cax doubles our damage when it triggers. Sometimes these runes don't sync up perfectly, but they are the best option for pushing. Alright my fellow Druids, I'm leaving you with a Pit 95 clear using this build. It ended super fast. Most likely you can hit Pit 100 with good gear and levels. Honestly, Druid this season has a ton of super strong builds that can handle all content with ease. Now is the time to build your favorites. Almost all of them can hit at least Pit 95 or higher. If you like the video, drop a like and subscribe. That way we keep growing the Druid community. See you in Sanctuary.